On that flight, everything worked as expected, and of course, that's usually going to be the case. But when it doesn't, you have to know what the GTN will do, how it's going to indicate a problem to you, and then what you should do about it. What you might expect is that when GPS fails, you simply lose position info, or when an approach downgrades, it'll simply enunciate the lower minimums. But there are several in-between cases that might catch you off guard if you don't expect it. Now, let's take a look at some examples. All right, we're back up in the air again. We're on a new flight here. We're en route from Madison, Wisconsin to Wausau, Wisconsin. We've got about 75 miles to go, and we're about to have a GPS failure. Because we're more than 30 miles from either the destination or departure airports, and we're not on any RNAV procedure at the moment, the GPS is in en route mode. That means that CDI scaling is 2 miles for a full scale deflection. And it also means that when the GPS position is lost, rather than simply removing all position information, the GTN will enter what's called dead reckoning mode. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, there's the failure. We have a message announcing it. If I tap on that, GPS navigation lost, insufficient satellites, use other navigation source. Okay. So our course guidance is removed both on the GTN and on the G5. We're not going to get any sort of terrain or traffic alerts, and traffic and radar are gone from the map too, although those are still available on their own dedicated pages. But there is a position displayed here on the map, although the airplane icon is overlaid with DR for dead reckoning. And we have DR also displayed as the GPS mode, along with LOI for loss of integrity. So what's actually going on here? There's no GPS position available, but the GTN does know its last position, and it's able to project your current position by dead reckoning methods using the data inputs that it has. And in this case, it's getting speed and heading information, for example, from the G5s. Without the G5s or a similar source, all it would know is the last known position, track, and speed, and it would just continue to project that forward. Over time, then, the position accuracy that's derived by dead reckoning degrades, and you're really not meant to use dead reckoning mode for navigation. But you can imagine if you're just droning along in cruise on a long flight, and not paying as much attention maybe as you should, and the GPS fails, then having that estimated position on the map will let you more easily get your bearings, so to speak, and transition back into the world of VOR navigation. This dead reckoning failure mode is unique to en route and oceanic navigation. So if you're in the terminal environment that is within 30 miles of departure or destination airports, or if you're on a procedure, then the GPS position will just be eliminated. And as we're in dead reckoning mode here, if we fly into the terminal area or onto a procedure, the dead reckoning position will go away. The other thing that's happened here is we lost our CDI, is that the autopilot is just switched over to roll mode. So it's only holding wings level. It's not attempting to track a course because there's not one to track. So at the very least, I should switch back to heading mode here. So what do we do here? Well, we switch to VOR navigation, of course, and inform ATC of the failure. And we'd probably need to change our destination too, since we'll likely need an instrument approach, and Wausau only has RNAV approaches. And you can still use the GTN for things. So for example, if I want to tune a VOR here, I could tap on the Wausau VOR, waypoint info, frequency, put that in the active, and then of course, swap the CDI. All right, the GPS is back online for now, and we're headed direct to Huxis, which is the initial approach fix for the RNAV runway 31 approach at Wausau, Wisconsin. We've been cleared straight in, told to cross Huxis at above 3,600. We're on our way down to that altitude now, and so once we hit Huxis, we'll just turn straight in on the approach. And it's at that point that the GTN will enunciate the approach mode. Remember, that happens when the final approach fix becomes the active waypoint. We'd expect the enunciation to be LPV here, but I've queued up a failure in the simulator that'll result in the approach downgrading to LNAV minimums. And we're going to see how that plays out. All right, 1 minute to Huxis now. And what you might expect to see when we cross Huxis, given the failure that I've queued up here, is that we'd get an LNAV enunciation rather than LPV. But what we'll actually get is something a bit different. All right, so there it is. We've passed Huxis, and instead of a normal LPV enunciation, we're getting a yellow LPV enunciation. There's no on-screen message explaining what that means, so you just have to know that the yellow color means the accuracy is marginal for LPV. we may not actually get LPV minimums, and the time that we'll find out is once we're 1 minute from the final approach fix. You can see it's still offering us a glide path here, but if we don't get LPV minimums, that glide path is going to go away as well. All right, there's 1 minute from the final approach fix. Now we're getting LNAV minimums. And the approach is downgraded. And we get a message that says GPS approach downgraded, use LNAV minimums. Again, the autopilot mode has changed here because I had it in approach mode. And we're just in roll and pitch modes now. The airplane's just flying wings level straight ahead. So I'm going to re-engage nav mode so it keeps tracking here, and altitude mode. And I'm not going to descend because I'm going to do a missed approach. So we could continue and fly to LNAV minimums here, but we'd effectively be flying a different approach from what we briefed. It's got higher minimums, it has a step down inside the final approach fix, and it has no vertical guidance. Sometimes the LNAV version might even have different missed approach climb requirements or different chart notes. So unless you use the yellow enunciation as your cue to brief the LNAV only version of the approach, you probably should go missed and either fully brief the new approach or switch to a different ground-based approach. When you do go missed, be sure that you continue down the regular approach track until the missed approach waypoint. It would be a mistake for us here to select direct to the missed approach holding waypoint from this current position. We've got to fly the whole approach to the missed approach point, even if we're not descending on the approach. There are certainly some cases where turning early direct to the missed approach holding point could get you flown into a mountain or into a busy traffic area where ATC is not expecting you to be. So there it is, a couple more nuanced failures of the GPS, and you can see how, especially on this last one, if you don't understand what that yellow LPV enunciation means, something that the GPS is doing to actually help you out could hurt you by delaying the time it takes for you to actually know what the GPS is going to ultimately give you. If GPS position is lost while operating in en route or oceanic modes, the GTN will enter dead reckoning mode. A yellow approach mode enunciation means GPS accuracy is marginal for the given approach mode. This will resolve, for better or worse, 1 minute from the final approach fix. The autopilot state may change when GPS position is lost or degraded.